What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to another beer review here at Thomas Opent. I'm going to do one of my little English reviews for no particular reason other than that I felt like it, and it's been a while. We have something odd here, something that I'm curious about, and I have no idea what to make of this. So what we have here is something called El Matador. It is a bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout by, let's see if I can pronounce this correctly, Juguetes Perdidos. Juguetes Perdidos. La última cocción del pequeño gigante. Con esta Imperial Stout despedimos nuestro primer brewhouse. La cerveza más alcohólica que hayamos intentado, con 16 horas de hervor y muchos meses en barricas de Bourbon Buffalo Trace. Oké, Bourbon Buffalo Trace Barrel Aged. Hier gaan even een paar dingen heen en weer. Oh, sorry, I just did that in Dutch. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to go back to English. Here's where things get weird. Here is where things get weird and confusing. I looked this up on Untappd, and it says that it's an Argentinian brewery from Argentina. Here on the bottle it says, made in Spain. Okay. Fabricado en España. So, okay, that's confusing. Here it says 12.5% ABV. If I look this beer up on Untappd, it says that it's 14% ABV. And here's where it gets funny. The description there says that it was boiled for 16 hours, as what it says here. 16 hours de hervor. Boiled for 16 hours, and then it says in that description, with the exact same label and everything, it says barrel aged for 10 months. It literally says 10. I don't know how to pronounce that in Argentina, Spain. Here it says muchos meses. There it said 10 meses. Muchos meses. So many months. I have no idea if there are several versions of this beer. But not according to Untappd. They only have the 14% ABV one listed that says 10 months barrel aged. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe somebody just made a mistake while putting it on Untappd. This happens. This is quite okay. As for an Argentinian brewery having its beer made in Spain, it's all very confusing. I'm going to look up a little bit more after this. I couldn't be bothered right now. I just thought it was interesting. All I know is it's a big stout. It's a bourbon barrel aged stout. It's aged in Buffalo Trace, which is one of my favorite bourbons. So, there you go. I am just going to, I thought I was going to get in trouble because it has a big wax layer on it. This is one of those wax layers that you can basically remove very easily. So this is a good thing. This is a very good thing. I am very happy. I also want to apologize to anybody that I just pissed off with my horrible attempt, not even at Spanish, because I don't speak Spanish at all. No hablo español. And that's basically all that I have. This is really one of those very lovely wax layers that you can just sort of peel off very easily. Look at that. No harm, no foul. You just need a decent sharp knife, and there we go. It's gone. Oh, I like this so much. I'm very curious about this beer. It's a 37.5 centiliter bottle. So it's a good end of a session beer. Let's see what we got, shall we? So that pours very dark brown. It's not pitch black. I mean, for you guys, it's going to be pitch black. For me, it pours an incredibly dark brown. It's actually quite clear in the pour. I doubt it's going to be that clear in the... I love those green bottles, by the way. I love green bottles. They're terrible for a beer for shelf life, but they just have this sort of thing. I don't know. In the glass, that is pitch black with a very dark, sort of like a dark mocha colored head. It's exactly what you would expect a big bourbon barrel aged imperial stout to look like, especially one that had like a big boil. I'm curious. I am very curious. I have no idea what to expect. So, let's just dive in and see what we got. Yeah. That's got like a big, bold bourbon component without getting hot. That is so definitely bourbon barrel aged, but in no way is that hot in the nose or sharp or alcoholic or boozy. It's just warm and inviting. It's so. This is like the perfect winter beer when it comes to that. There is a definite like a wet oak thing going on, like very, very, very wet oak. You get a big burst of vanilla. You get that big wet oak thing. So more and more now I'm getting those sort of bubblegum sweetness bourbon notes. This definitely, I don't care if it was 10 months or a lot of months, this has seen a wet barrel. This has seen a very wet barrel, by the way, because the original beer, I should have mentioned that earlier, is 10.5% in alcohol. This is, according to the label, 12.5, or if the label is wrong and Untappd is right, 14%. So no matter what, it jumps 2% in ABV. Unless, and I need to look that up, some breweries do this. They make a slightly different version of the OG beer. I believe 1050, Oscar Blues does that for 1050, I believe. They have the 1050, which is 10.5% ABV, and the barrel aged are higher in ABV because they brew a version that is bigger and more bolder in body, so it can live up to the prolonged barrel aging. Otherwise, the beer might get too thin. Yeah, that's nice. Under it, you get that big roasted malt component of a good Russian Imperial Stout. There's a lovely little umami savory thing going on. I'm not getting much in detail yet because this beer is big on the bourbon. This beer is big on the bourbon. So that's going to be the main star of the show for a little while. You might want to check like things like Untappd or my Instagram after the review to see what I've put out in detail, because this is going to take some time to develop. Okay, now we're getting a sort of like a soft coconut chocolate thing. There's a note that a lot of these bourbons give like coconut notes to beers, and this is definitely bringing that coconut chocolate thing to the front now. Not the darkest chocolate ever. It's also not the sweetest. It's more like that in-between thing, like a 50% cacao kind of pure chocolate. There's a bit of a fruity vibe. Yeah, right now there's not much else I'm getting. The fact that it's definitely a big, bold roasted component. You get that bourbon that's coming off like a motherfucker. You get that soft chocolate coconut thing, and that's basically about it right now. Let's just dive in, see what we can find, and hopefully the beer will develop a little bit over time. That's something, like I said, that's not going to be part of this review because, I'm not going to review this for like 12 hours. Nah, 12 hours is like over a period of 3 hours or something. Let's just dive in, see what we get. Cheers. Okay. Again, you get that sort of roastiness from the malts. There's a bit of a char component. There's definitely a savory, sort of like umami, savory soy sauce licorice thing. There is that coconut chocolate thing again. It has a bit of a vegetable note somewhere in the back, I think. Hard to make out. It has this sort of, not like a vegetable, but do you know what I mean? No, you don't know what I mean, because that's the way I get this thing. And again, big on the bourbon. It's not as impactful as I had expected it would be on the palate. It's a bit thin. No, not thin. It's decent. It's not as thick as I thought it could be, especially after a beer that had a long boil. You expect a lot bigger mouthfeel, but perceptions and everything. And it's sort of all already dissipating. The finish isn't very long. It's not very intense. It's a bit like a soft Finnish character to it. It's got like a red wine sort of, that red wine fruitiness. I can elaborate a lot more on that if this was a red wine and going into what kind of red fruits I was getting. That's not what this is. It just has that general vibe of a red wine, like that red fruit sort of soft tannic expression, hint of some spice maybe. Yeah, there's a hint of a spice there going on. It's that vanilla component softly coming through from the bourbon. There's that bubblegum sweetness now coming through in the bourbon. Again, definitely, this is one that needs time to develop. It's a good thing that this is the last beer of my review session. I have a sour, I have a Pilsner, a sour, double IPA, and then this. So I can just put a lid over this, pour it all out, put a little lid over it, and just let it develop a little bit. Every now and then take a little sip, and give this a couple of hours, and maybe it'll impress me more, because at the end of the day, do I dislike this? No, actually, I find it quite enjoyable. It's definitely a nice, soft, gentle sipper. It's smooth, it's velvety. I mean, that's the thing. Oh, there we go. Now, I expected a bigger mouthfeel. I expected something very almost chewable. It's not. It is soft and velvety, though. And it has everything that I think I would want from a nice bourbon barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout. It's just, I had the way it was described, 16-hour boil, long barrel for aging, the higher ABV, maybe the presentation, that's all, your perceived notions. I had expected something very bold and intense and bursting and smack in the face. This is not, for example, I mean, that's a horrible comparison to make. But when I think of the impact I have and the depth and complexity I can find in something like a BCBS, for example, especially the boldness of the flavor, the intensity of it, all of that is lacking here. It is a bit restrained, for lack of a better word. It is, however, tasty. It is, however, very nice. And I think I paid $10 for this bottle, like $9.99. That ain't a bad price. For a 37.5%, for 35.5 centiliter bottle, coming in at either 12.5 or 14% ABV, that is probably all the way from Argentina, according to the thing that it says on tap, even though it says made in Spain. It's a very good price. It's a very good price. The thing, though, and I forgot to mention this, it's so stupid that I didn't mention this. It has some age on it. It says that it's a couple of months past its prime. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is. I should look that up on Untapped after this. Like when was the first check-in on this beer? Because let's face it, not all barrel-aged beers develop well over time. I've had barrel-aged beers that were better after 10 years is an exaggeration, but better after like maybe 5 years. And I've had barrel-aged beers that already started to lose a lot of its impact after like a year in a bottle or a can. So saving barrel-aging beers isn't always a guaranteed success. So maybe this just dropped off a little bit. I should have led with that. I'm going to put it in the title. I'm going to find the vintage of this and put that in the title, hopefully. But it is a couple of months, like 2 or 3 months past its prime. Past its best buy date, let's say that. So maybe that's it. Maybe this just has 2 years in the bottle and it faded off a little bit. Could be that that's it. I don't regret buying this. I don't regret opening this. I'm going to enjoy finishing this. And maybe even, have a more of a love for it than I do right now, because now I just have a high enjoyment of it, which is, all good. That was it for, I don't know, what was that, 15 minutes of stupid rambling on a beer. I apologize for that. I apologize for this video. I apologize for the stupid rambling that was inconsistent and probably made no sense to anybody except my brain. Yeah, if you like the video, click like. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. In the description box below, you'll find links to my social media, a link to the Dutch Beer Collective, a link to mysterybeer.nl. Go check out the reviews of my buddies in the Dutch Beer Collective, Remy, Douglas, and Gerben. That would mean Beer Geek Holland, Beers with Douglas, and Dutch Beer Geek. Please follow and subscribe to their channel. And I'll see all of you guys in another review soon. Cheers.